For the first time in history, wind and solar farms have generated more electricity worldwide than coal, marking a major milestone in the global transition toward cleaner energy. According to new research from the climate think tank Ember, renewable power is now growing fast enough to meet nearly all of the world's rising electricity demand, a sign that fossil fuel dependence may have finally peaked. In the first half of 2025, solar energy production surged by nearly a third compared to the same period last year, providing 83% of the increase in global electricity demand. Wind power expanded by more than 7%, allowing total renewable generation to edge past coal for the first time. This is a crucial turning point. Clean energy is now growing quickly enough to keep pace with global demand. Much of this progress has been driven by China and India, which have led the world in expanding renewable infrastructure. China alone added more clean energy capacity than every other country combined, leading to a 2% drop in fossil fuel use during the first half of the year. India's renewable growth outpaced its electricity demand more than threefold, cutting coal and gas use by 3.1% and a striking 34% respectively. Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency projects that renewable power could more than double by 2030, with solar energy expected to account for roughly 80% of that growth. The expansion of renewables will continue to be dominated by solar, the IEA's executive director said, but wind, hydropower, bioenergy, and geothermal sources will also play vital roles. The IEA forecasts that while China will remain the largest driver of renewable growth, India will rise as the second most important market by the end of the decade. Emerging economies such as Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and several Southeast Asian nations are also heavily investing in solar infrastructure. One major omission to all of this is, of course, the United States. Under Donald Trump, who is a climate change denier, the focus is on coal and fossil fuels, as if it was 1950 all over again.
We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate. And they have to be rebuilt all the time, and they start to rust and rot. Most expensive energy ever conceived, and it's actually energy. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. You lose money, the governments have to subsidize. You can't put them out without massive subsidies. And most of them are built in China, and I give China a lot of credit. They build them, but they have very few wind farms. So why is it that they build them and they send them all over the world, but they barely use them? You know what they use? Coal. They use gas. They use almost anything, but they don't like wind. But they sure as hell like selling the windmills. Europe, on the other hand, has a long way to go, with many countries being on the brink of destruction because of the green energy agenda. They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll be very badly criticized for saying it, but I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
In fact, the US experienced a surge in electricity demand that outpaced its renewable capacity, leading to a 17% rise in coal use in the first half of the year. The global divergence underscores the need for direct investment in renewable energy, rather than reliance on mechanisms like carbon offsets, which recent studies show are failing to meaningfully reduce emissions. A review from the University of Oxford Smith School found that carbon offset systems suffer from deep-seated systemic flaws and often exaggerate their impact. Projects have frequently been credited for emissions reductions that never truly occurred, for example, funding wind farms that would have been built anyway, or protecting forests, only to push logging activities elsewhere. Carbon offsetting is a bit of a scam and has been used by energy companies to claim that they are investing in renewables when in fact they're doing nothing of the sort. By contrast, the surge in renewable energy represents real measurable progress. Where offset schemes have struggled to balance the global carbon equation, wind and solar are now achieving tangible results, cutting coal, reducing emissions and reshaping the world's power system. If current trends continue, 2025 may be remembered as the year the clean energy revolution truly began to take hold. And as the rest of the world accelerates towards renewables, Donald Trump has doubled down on coal investments, signaling a sharp reversal from the global energy shift. He removed the US once again from the Paris Climate Accord and is continuing to receive pressure, not to mention gifts, from the fossil fuel industry. Trump on Monday ordered the approval of a proposed 211-mile road through an Alaska wilderness to allow mining of copper, cobalt, gold and other minerals. The long-debated Amber Road project was approved in Trump's first term but was later blocked by the Biden administration after an analysis determined the project would threaten caribou and other wildlife and harm Alaska's indigenous tribes that rely on hunting and fishing. Meanwhile, the White House announced it is taking a 10% equity stake in Trilogy Metals, a Canadian company that is seeking to develop the Ambler site along with an Australian partner. When it comes to Donald Trump, money is always placed ahead of doing the right thing. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.